major challenges of good democratic governance in Nigeria is that of getting selfless, visionary, patriotic, pro-people, inclusive, focused and effective leadership to pilot Nigeria's national affairs and the political economy towards good democratic governance. In years past, in the history of Nigeria, we have had leaders who rendered selfless services in governance and have left their marks in the sands of time. They were not only selfless but also visionary leaders focused on initiating and executing policies, programs and projects to address the fundamental needs and aspirations of citizens. In the current situation, getting things right and reverting to the appropriate trajectory of good democratic governance would require selfless, visionary leadership and followership committed to and focused on people-oriented policies for social economic growth. And there is no better time than now to call on Nigerians to contribute their quota for national development as the country charts a new course for renewed hope. So, on Panorama today, coming to you live from the Lagos Network Center of the Nigerian Television Authority, we shall be focusing on ways to encourage Nigerians to take ownership of the Nigeria project by rendering selfless services for the growth and development of our nation without considering personal aggrandizement. Be reminded that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. I am Adeola Komiakere. Welcome to Panorama. In renewing its commitment to stamping out all forms of illegal importation into the country, the Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted 31 rifles within 2 weeks of its anti-smuggling intervention in the month of July. The Acting Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, while showcasing the seizures in Lagos, says the discovery is a sign that the service has re-strategized its operations to heighten compliance with legitimate trade. Michael Olaleye reports.
A new dawn, a new vigor, marched with determination to put an end to illegal importation. But this time, dangerous consignments were caught in the web of the anti-smuggling crusade. The first consignment of the 3 intercepted within 2 weeks, according to the customs, is a product of joint operations at the PTML terminal in Lagos, in which 10 guns of different types, including 442 rounds of live ammunition and 14 empty magazines, were concealed in plastic drums.
The clearing agents, one Mr. Shokunbi Olanrewaju and Mr. Joseph Nwandiudo, who was expected to take delivery of the container, are currently detained as suspects in connection with the seizure.
Another 18 arms concealed in similar fashion were discovered at the Tinkan Island port after 100% physical examination of a 1x40-foot container, in addition to the latest, which occurred on the 12th of July 2023, involving a Toyota Camry loaded with 6 sacks of charcoal used to hide 3 pump-action rifles and 174 live cartridges along Owodi Agility axis of Ogun State.
The driver of the vehicle, who knew the content he was conveying vis-a-vis the attendant consequences of his action before the law, jumped into the bush and escaped arrest. The services, human resources and logistics are collectively harnessed to combat and prevent economic sabotage.
While explaining that most of the contrabands were imported from the United States to be delivered to the southeastern part of the country, the Acting Comptroller General of Customs reaffirms the readiness of the service to seamlessly deliver on its mandate, as stipulated in the Policy Advisory Council documents of the present administration. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Troops of the Nigerian Army have busted an ammunition smuggling syndicate while transporting a truckload of ammunition to Anambra. A statement by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Oyema Nwachukwu, says troops acting on intelligence were conducting stop and search along Agility Owode Road in Yewa North Local Government of Ogun State, intercepted the illegal consignment. The truck, with registration number ENU 697XY, was loaded with 720 packets of Red Star cartridges of 12 caliber containing 25 cartridges per packet, totaling 18,000 cartridges, and 250 packets of live black cartridges containing 10 packets each, totaling 2,500 cartridges of same caliber. The suspect, identified as Mr. Eric Shewovo, a Ghanaian national, and the driver, Mr. Lukman Sani, have been taken into custody and are helping with ongoing investigations. Investigations further revealed that the ammunition concealed in a supposed empty truck were imported from Mali via Idiroko International Border en route to their final destination in Onitsha, Anambra State, where they were intended to deliver the illegal ammunition. The Nigerian Army therefore appeals to all law-abiding citizens to continue to support the troops and other security agencies with credible information as they combat security challenges across the country. And away from security matters, for auditors in the country to have a tradition of promoting good public finance management practices that can stand the test of review from any quarters as acceptable, the Program Coordinating Unit of State Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation organized a week-long training for Southwestern state and local government auditors on financial audit methodology (FAM) in Lagos. Larry Belay witnessed the start of the training.
It is a technical capacity building training program for these auditors from Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Ekiti and Ondo states and their local government on how to improve professional independence of the offices of auditors general in their states to strengthen transparent auditing of public finance.
Government deliberately want to train the auditors so that they can be able to check corruption by teaching them certain principles through the audit law, such that it can be checked in a technical and specific way.
The participants will be exposed to financial auditing methodology from planning to execution of auditing of all financial statements of states and local government.
The training is going to be full of practices so that they will know what and what to be documented, how to avoid risk.
The training targets best ways to present justified or detailed financial statements, which the participants believe will go a long way in helping them perform optimally in their responsibilities.
It is very dynamic and challenging. There is need for us to equip ourselves technically with technical skills so that we will be able to meet the requirements of the international best practices.
It is an opportunity for all the participants to train the subordinates and to enlighten them more about the audit work and how the audit work will be strengthened.
The training is also expected to be replicated in all geopolitical zones of the Federation with a Train the Trainers program of these selected participants who will go back to their states and cascade what they've learned down to other auditors. In Lagos, Larry Bilahi, NTA News.
Stakeholders in the justice sector and administration of correctional centers have been brainstorming on how to engender a more effective system that will decongest the custodial centers in Nigeria following the placement of correctional service under the concurrent federal legislative list. Addressing journalists in Abuja on the outcome of a two-day conference, the Executive Director of Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, PRAWA, Dr. Uju, tasked the new government on efficient justice system. Austin Naibe reports.
In March 2023, former President Muhammad Buhari assented to 16 bills. One of them was the removal of the Correctional Service from the exclusive list to the concurrent legislative list. This development requires that both the federal government and the states will henceforth engage in administration of the Correctional Service. To make it work and ensure the decongestion of the custodial centers, a conference which brought together stakeholders from the Ministry of Justice, Correctional Service, Ministry of Interior, and non-governmental organizations brainstormed and came up with some resolutions on how to stem the tide, particularly to reduce high number of pre-trial detainees in custodial centers.
The conference urged the judiciary to ensure the implementation of Section 34 of the Administration of the Criminal Justice Act on visits to detention centers by judges and magistrates. It urged the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to constitute the visiting committee of the custodial centers in line with Section 21 of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019.
Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action committed to promoting institutional reforms in the formal and informal sectors for access to justice, rehabilitation, and social development of prisoners, ex-prisoners, tortured victims, is partnering with the media to mount an advocacy on how to actualize implementation of government policies and set agenda for the administration of justice and corrections reforms in Nigeria.
PRAWA need to go further on your behalf. It's just an advocacy. In addition to what is in place, we feel like we need the government to establish a dedicated public relations officer that can give us information we're looking for. And I think most of the things have been said, and we work together. And let me assure you, Federal Ministry of Justice is friendly to everybody.
PRAWA can hardly request anything from most of these agencies and they refuse it. If PRAWA writes to Legal Aid Council today that, look, we want this information, these classes of info, we will provide.
Sequel to this, the issue of media access to information came up with the organization pledging to support practitioners with viable information in the justice sector. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News. Access to information came up.
You're still watching Panorama, reaching you live from the Lagos Network Center of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's take a short break. More news when we return. To stay. Thank you for staying with us. For Nigeria's developmental agenda as envisaged by the nation's founding fathers to be accomplished, both the leadership and the followers must be on the same page in the task of nation building by imbibing the spirit of selfless sacrifice to hasten the progress of a nation. Joel Popola reports that stakeholders believe it will require a reorientation for Nigerians to understand the essence of self-sacrifice.
Think not of what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country is a popular quote of former American President John F. Kennedy, which speaks to the need to make positive impact in the growth trajectory of the nation. The same word of admonition also applies to Nigeria at this critical time when all hands are expected to be on deck, but not many Nigerians understand the significance of selfless sacrifice.
It starts from the home. So the way we bring up our children, the values we instill on them.
Almost everyone in the world is selfish. We only think of ourselves. But even at that, you can still see that when the need arises for us to contribute to nation, you see many of us doing it.
Selfless sacrifice, observers believe, start from the grassroots through active participation in community development services, performing civic duties and other acts of patriotism, including mobilizing others to join in the task of national development.
Nigerians are selfless. Okay, something happened to me some days ago. My car just got stuck somewhere, and before I knew it, 5, 6, 7 people helped me. So I went with other guys trying to look for stones, and I was like, wow.
The nation's founding fathers like Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the hero of apartheid struggle, Nelson Mandela, are still relevant till date for their selfless sacrifice. Respondents unanimously agreed that both the leaders and the followers should make selfless sacrifice a priority. In Lagos, Joel Pukbola, NTA News.
Reports just reaching us says that the Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has performed the official renaming of the Mariam Babangida National Center for Women Development and also unveiled her official portrait. And to go back to the discuss on selfless sacrifice, joining me in the studio to talk about it is a clergyman and former vice presidential candidate of the NNPP in the 2023 general election, Bishop Isaac Idahosa. Good to have you join us in Panorama.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, now we're talking about selfless service to the nation. What exactly, in your own terms, would you say is selfless service?
Selfless service is where you put others first, looking for the greater good of the common man, deny yourself things you know you ought to have for the better utility or advantage of the much you can reach out to. And of course, we have had good founding fathers who really through selfless services and sacrifices have been able to bring us together. And for that to go, egocentrism have to drop, and then for you to prefer one another. And that is the only way any nation can build on the tripod of justice, fairness, all-inclusiveness. And this cannot be gotten until we have the common mindset of love for country.
Okay.
And when you have love for country, you begin to want to think of what to do to encouraging, to improving, developing the country.
Okay, now the concept of selfless service is often used in worship centers, you know, to encourage members to be self-oriented without remuneration. How can we translate this to governance in Nigeria?
Potential remains dormant when demand is not placed on it. We must be able to find a way to start it from our homes. The home training has to do with selfless services. What we see our parents did in those days were the things that were imbibed in us, and are reflecting and culminating to want to serve without having to think of what to get. Now that is to say, you must have to know what your purpose is, what your gift or talents are, and then finding a platform to express that which you are able to do, not minding what to get from it. Now, to have a selfless service, you have to have passion for what you do.
Exactly.
Importantly, we must have to have a country to be able to serve it. Now, to develop this country, there are founding fathers who have done so much. Today we mention a lot of them because what they have done, they have dropped a legacy through their selfless services. It's for us to now sit down and imbibe this in our curriculum, from the primary and tertiary education to whatever level, to let people know what is leadership. It's about influence. It's about letting people do the best, placing tap on people's potentials and then watching them grow. Not without hurdles or challenges or hitches, but when you see a selfless leader, he wants many made instead of him.
Okay, you made mention that it should start from the home. Parents should be able to teach their children, and you also alluded to the fact that it should form part of a school's curriculum.
That's right.
So that in future we have seasoned leaders. All right. Now, what do you think are the challenges in rendering selfless service without counting the cost?
Yeah, because you have to count the cost. He that must build a tower sits down first and takes analysis. This thing I'm doing, what would be the aftermath? Those who have done that, the problem we have got is moving with the legacy of those who have done what we want to do. There's nothing new we want to do others have not done. But you see, we must learn to imbibe the spirit of continuity. Two, when you put in selfless service, when we talk about service, let me put in the acronym form SERVICE. That is sensitivity to the needs of the common man. When a leader is sensitive to the needs of the common man, that brings about promulgation of policies that will enhance for so many things that will better the common man, bringing about the amenities, basic amenities in place. 2, education, like we were discussing before now, orientation. Keep saying it until it gets imbibed into radio stations, TV stations. I was in Kingston, Jamaica in 1984. The first thing you see inscribed on the billboard is, we are not just in Jamaica, we are for Jamaica. So you must understand, you are not just here in Nigeria, you are for Nigeria. So you will have to push education. Then that helps you to become responsible.
Exactly.
Once you are responsible, you now catch the vision of the founding fathers. Vision, ability to see into what the true picture is, and then pursuing it selflessly.
Thank you very much, Bishop Isaac Idahosa, for sharing your thoughts with us. We now know that we must be passionate about this country and be passionate enough to see it develop and grow to the level that we want it to be. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And it's now time for us to go into the sporting scene for the latest. Gift Judge is our guide.
On the Nigerian Premier Football League, Okechukwu Paloku has emerged as the new chairman of the Nigerian Premier Club Owners Association. The general manager of Rivers United emerged as the new chairman of the Nigerian Premier League Club Owners Association after the elections on Monday in Abuja, with all 20 clubs participating. Remo Stars chairman Kunle Shonami and Domo United Suleiman Omar were elected chairmen to represent the North and South on the board. In a related development, Nigerian Football Federation President Ibrahim Gusau has inaugurated board members of the Nigerian National League, Nationwide League 1, and the Nigerian Women's Football League in Abuja, urging them to hit the ground running ahead of the new season in a deliberate attempt to revamp the league system towards attracting sponsorship and more followership.
We must try as much as possible to see how we can source more money in order for us to develop this game of football, because there's no way we will achieve what we want to achieve by not taking care of people that we are supposed to take care of them.
There are a lot of changes that certainly must be addressed, given the tax given to us.
In squash, to improve the rating of Nigerian players worldwide, the Nigerian Squash Federation has organized a closed satellite tournament which ended at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Lagos. The 5-day competition, which featured about 64 players from various parts of the country, was solely for senior players in Nigeria.
Closed satellites are the entry-level tournaments, allowing them to earn ranking points locally, which is really good for the players, which means without spending so much in terms of travel, they can play tournaments and earn ranking points here.
For over 2 years now, we've been having tournaments back-to-back, thanks to the Nigerian Sports Federation.
In the women's final, Busaya Olatunji beat Rufuyat Abdulaziz 3-2, while Anu Adegoke defeated Gabriel Olufumilayo also by 3-2 to emerge champion in the men's category. With sports updates, Gift George, NTA News.
And that's a package and panorama this week from the Lagos Network Center of the NTA. Do join us again. I am Adeola Komiakiri. Enjoy the rest of your day.